When I saw this post in the forum, portfolio up 108%, I knew I had to talk with Mike. Hello, everyone. Roger Fung here, one of your fellow The Crypto Code members. Bacabo Street, an American alpine skier, Olympic gold medalist, have said, to uncover your true potential, you must first find your own limits, and then you have to have the courage to blow past them. Today, I caught up with Mike for a few minutes. I wanted to know how he was able to double his portfolio in such a short time. Were there any limits? What was his mindset? What was his investment process? Full disclosure, since the posting of the 108% profit, his portfolio has been down a little. And of course, the content provided does not constitute financial or professional advice. I hope you'll be inspired by his process and you can learn something from it. Now, let's dive into the interview. Welcome, the Crypto Code members. We're here with Mike, and this is Roger, and we are here highlighting what Mike has been experiencing in the last 3 months. Now, Mike posted in the forum that he has joined the Crypto Code for about 3 months, and between the Wavebot, the TCC Portfolio Pass, Premium Trade Alert, and the latest TCC Target, his portfolio have went over 108%. So first of all, congratulations, Mike.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Well, before we dive into some of the detail, tell us a little bit a little bit of your background, what kind of line of work you do, and how you came to the Crypto Code.
That's a great one. So I've been in the tech industry for over 30 years. Started off my journey, doing computer science and all that. So from a tech perspective, it was interesting when I first heard about crypto back in the early 2000s. Didn't really do anything much about it, until about 2009, where, I just learned about the blockchain technology and all that. Quite honestly, it wasn't until about 2020, when my son got involved in crypto, that I wanted to learn about what he was doing, and it became very, very interesting. So major failure back in 2021, I bought some Bitcoin. I wrote it all the way up and I wrote it all the way down. So that was my first learning. Now, I've done, during the bear market, I used that as time to sharpen my skill set, understand the various facets of crypto, such as doing out and out investing, looking at yield farming, any possible ways of getting and basically just leveraging the crypto to make additional money, from that perspective. It wasn't until we started our bull run that it was like, okay, this is real. I don't have the tool sets to do any investing. And I had one of the influencers that is out there basically sent me a note about this TCC code, where it's like, hey, you know what, just tune in, just an hour of your time, and for that they'll give you $10. So it's like, okay, cool. So joined in, and I was immediately captured by how Joel represented the crypto code, and that's when this was at the end of October, kind of. All right, so last week of October, I believe, and it was like, okay, this is a no-brainer. I'll just get in there. Looks like what attracted me to the crypto code was the Wavebot and the ability to actually do passive income, or so I thought, right? It actually, I learned more about the Wavebots, before, and then I went, okay, this is a no-brainer. I'll just subscribe. The Wavebots was why I got into TCC. The premium trade alerts, the portfolio that they hold and recommend, the new TCC targets indicators, those were basically just all bonus, initially when I first signed up. So last week of October, once I signed up, and they gave me access to the forums, all the tools. I did nothing in crypto. I just spent all of my time going through the training material, the excellent training material that Joel did and Adam did, and I learned a lot, from that perspective. Now, so based on that, and I have had some experience in doing some trading before, so that was not that much of a learning curve for me. But their mindset, the 4 year cycle, the everything that they did, just helped me very quickly gel together, my thoughts and everything. So I would like to share my screen. I have a day job, so I have to be extremely pedantic about my time and managing my time during the day. So what I've done in broad strokes is I've decided that I would check in at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then again one last time at 9 p.m. So during those check-ins, it would take about half an hour to an hour, where I would look at any new TCC trade alerts that would come up. I would do my own real quick research and then action it, from that perspective. Once that's done, I would check it on, active trades that I have, either look after getting, look at getting out of them, or, based on what the market's doing, and or just letting it ride, until I look at it later. Now, because of that, I actually created a spreadsheet that I completely live out of, from a crypto trading perspective. And that's what I want to share, on my screen today.
Okay,
So
why don't you go ahead and do that as I listen, think back to what you just said. You basically had some trading experience with crypto. You dabble in it for a bit. So you have some basic understanding and foundation. And then when you came to the promo for the crypto co, the Wavebot is the one that really attracted you, that pulled you in and said, hey, look, here's a potentially a kind of a passive way of investing. So once you dive in, you start learning more about the mindset, about the details. And from that point on, you are currently looking at any combination of using the Wavebot, using the portfolio pass, the alert, and those TCC targets. And right now we are looking onto the screen of what you have put together as a spreadsheet to help you organize, and you have created this system of having this multiple check-ins in certain times during the day, that each day and every day there's your check, and then you're going through your kind of mental checklist as to what you're looking for.
exactly.
Right.
So, and I don't mind sharing this, with everybody that is spending their time, tuning in. But initially, what I did is I did a full TCC cost breakdown, how much, so that I can understand how much per month I need to make in order to quote unquote break even. So, there was the membership that came out. Now I'm amortizing it over a 1 year period. I could have chosen 2 years, 5 years, or whatever, but my goal is to say, look, over 1 year, I want to make sure that I break even for all of my costs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. There's the monthly sub that we have from TCC. Those are the big ones. And of course, there's also a requirement for TradingView and for 3 commas today, right? Because of the wave bots that are being used. And so, I keep this, I kept this up here. I thought about getting rid of it, but it's a good reminder. It's like, look, this is what I'm looking to break even, obviously, as my first goal, which I've done, and obviously looking towards, building my nest egg, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here on my initial was to set up wave bots. Excuse me. I decided I settled on setting up 6 wave bots in one shot, and I've invested $2,000 for that. This is all US, and so that I could do that. Now, if you do your math, $2,000 is not going to cover 6 bots, but it's worked for me well. There's only at one point where there was a massive drawdown on one of my bots where it just no funds, right? But that was only once during this entire period that I started that. So my total revenue as of January 15th was $430. Not phenomenal, but it's good enough, right? From that
Mm-hmm.
perspective.
For
And so,
$2,000,
well, yeah.
for $2,000 in 3 months, you annualize it. I'm not even going to do the number.
So times 3, so over 3 months, it's times 4. So that would be like $1,600 roughly. just in wave bots, from that perspective, I am not at this point in time actively managing the bots themselves. These are my bot pairs that I currently have, Sol and USD, and I've ranked the performance. As you can tell, I'm preparing myself to start another discipline for my wave bots, which is to rebalance this. And you know what? I have a question, on whether I should be rebalancing the different wave bots weekly or monthly. Definitely not daily because I just don't have the time. But those are things that I'm looking at doing. And as you can see, my notes are, basically whenever I come up with an idea or a question, I'll jot it down for me to look after later, such as, during these massive drawdowns, right? Do I stop my bots or whatever? I haven't, during this current drawdown that we have after the BTC ETF approval. And based on that, my bots have kind of frozen up, right? They're not generating any revenue on a daily basis because of the fact that they're currently just doing their job. They're DCAing until the prices come back up, and then they'll start making some more profit later. So
Okay, so now let's look at it real quick. You're here. So you jumped in and you start learning the system. The WaveBot is the one that you gravitate towards. So you test run it, and now you put $2,000 into 6 spots, and you had it WaveBot 5. So I'm assuming you're doing the default setting that Joel had recommended in terms of the base order and the safety order and the double steps along the way. And that so far since October till now, you have benefited, profited about $430. And that right now, because of the drawdown, a lot of the bots are basically stuck and they're staying there a little bit. But in the past 3 months or so, you being kind of under reserve for those collectively, those 6 bots, it worked out well for you. Only like one time it got stuck. Other than that, most of the time it have worked out for you.
100%.
Okay, great. So in terms of your WaveBot strategy, you're comfortable with it, you're running it, and now it's kind of the next phase is to tweaking, in terms of we may be rebalancing, how much you reinvest into it. Should you expand to more bots or shrinking more bots? So you're going into more detail, kind of the next phase in that regard for WaveBots.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. And you know what? So first of all, the TCC community is great. There's a lot of questions that are asked by newbies, including me, right? And they all get answered. So the questions that I've got for my wave bots, I'm probably going to put them up on the forum, and I'm sure that Joel and or Adam and Neil will kick in on with their either on the forum or during an AMA, right? In terms of what we should be doing, what I should be doing. But yeah, overall, that's what it is. Now, WaveBot timing, I didn't know TCC from anything when I first started and I subscribed. So I'm not a very trustworthy, I don't trust very well. And so I verified, right? And so after about a day of learning about the WaveBot, through the training that's being offered, I did paper trading, through using leveraging 3 commas. And it's like, okay, this seems to be working great. So within day, I forget now, it's either the second or the third day after I subscribed, and I was doing WaveBots. So the ramp up is really not that much, when it looks at that. At least it wasn't for myself, because it was extremely straightforward. Starting so once I got that going, had some extra time, I basically got my training on the rest of the TCC indicators, the service that they offer for the premium trade alerts, and so I started investing in based on all of the TCC trade alerts that come up within the first. Let me see here. When was my first trade? At January or November 6th was my first trade, and I basically looked at my. Before I did that, I gave a long and hard thought about what is my budget, right? So I took 5,000 US and went, this is my working capital. And based on that, that's where I'll make my investment decisions and all that. But I'm certainly not going to, invest more than 10% for each and every trade. Having said that, I didn't follow my own rule, and you'll see why after. But if you look, the first couple of weeks, I was cautious. I did 10%, and that worked very nicely. I was in profit the entire time around. If I stretch this out, you'll see, the net that I'm up. The spreadsheet kind of keeps going, but the last column that you see there is all my comments on the trade itself specifically, just for myself. Either you didn't follow it right, Mike, or there's something wrong, so that I explain myself for later, so that I can actually self-improve, from that perspective.
That column is your trade journal, right?
Exactly.
So that's your trade journal. You are reviewing and you're looking back, good, bad, or ugly. You're giving comments or questions to yourself, and you look at it, and now it's all on one page, and you can see it as you progress throughout your trading journey.
That's correct. Okay, so this spreadsheet started simple, with just some text. And as you can tell, it got really, really complicated. But what I wanted to do was capture every facet of the TCC emails that I got from the Crypto Code and the forum. And as you can see, I was extremely, call it luck, or extremely successful, for the first trades, because I was all in green, right? So as you can tell here, what I've captured is the symbol, what kind of leverage that I'm using. Long story short, I'm not using leverage. I don't feel experienced enough to use leverage from that perspective, and I'm in a country that doesn't permit leverage. But long story short, that's what it is. So I have a verification drop down that I'll choose. So I'll very quickly review various things. As you can tell, I did spend some time on verifying things. We are in an uptrend, so that's basically what I defaulted to. I can't short in my country, so I did a long and short column for hopefully for the future once I am able to do shorting. But right now I'm only doing longs from all of the alerts that TCC does. I only do the longs, none of the shorts. Entry date, entry time is definitely something that I log. And then this is based on a formula where I go, okay, how much do I want to invest? I highlight the quantity that I go off and buy, and then I go create my bot through 3 commas to create that. So just so that you know, when I initially started, I only actioned the first VCA level if I needed to, and I only actioned the first take profit. All right, so for the first month, that's all I did. Afterwards, I also considered the second take profit. I know that I've documented the third take profit in this column, but I'm out once the second take profit comes up. And there's some judgment on that, by the way, where when I'm monitoring these, if I look like it's running out of gas, I'll just set my stop limit to either to break even or for the first take profit. Just depending on the market at that time, so that I get out. And I make notes of that as well. So in here, you'll notice there's the premium trade alerts are there's a couple of them, right? There's a straight up premium trade alert. There's a scalp, and now there's the new TCC targets alerts as well. So for people tuning in, everyone that doesn't have a stop price, those are scalps. And I've had 100% success with the scalps. They don't close as quickly as the other premium trade alerts. Some do extend. I've got a couple that are still open, and I think the longest I've had one open for was 2 weeks. I'd have to double check, but I think that's what it is for that. Okay, so as you can tell, the money to invest, I went with 10%, but seeing that I had, the first couple of weeks were very successful, I went, hey, a little bit of gambling mentality here. I said, let's up it up a little. So I broke my own rule of not doing more than 10% investment, but whatever, right? That's I decided to take that on. And so I was extremely lucky, and successful with those. Now you'll notice that some of them are zeros. Those are the ones that I couldn't get in on time, right? I couldn't get an entry. So, like Joel keeps saying, don't chase it. And for those that I could not take, it's because they already reached the first take profit level. So I'm like, okay, I'm out. I'm not even going to bother doing that. So that's why some of them are not. They come up as zeros. Then, as you can tell, I was extremely successful, so I bumped it up to 1,000. In terms of doing that, and from a funding perspective, I was still good. And so I just kept doing this. Now, this is pretty much when I started losing some money, right? I did encounter some losses. And as you can tell, it took, I did lose some money there, but ultimately speaking, that's the name of the game. And however, I did quickly make that up, right, within the other couple of trades. And this brings me up to today.
All right, let's take a quick look on the left side. How many total do you have? 100 and how many different trades have you created?
How many trades? That's a good question.
There you go.
I'm going to say 95.
All right, 95. So for about 3 months, 95. So you're basically about one trade a day, right? So 30 days. Um,
Yeah.
so that is an average, and your results right now so far as you put in 5,000 and you have my glasses are a little um, fuzzy right now. Let's see. Your current profit is 4,000, a little bit over 4,000, right? I'm looking at the K7.
27. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so you are, yeah, almost 100% there, and you got 2,400 there for the WaveBot. And so this is what I've heard so far is that um, you have a little bit of background, so help with. I think a lot of the members have some issues. Some of our new members have issues with just onboarding. Where do I put my money in? Which exchange I send it to, and it's country specific also, right? Each one of us are in different place, or even I'm in the states. Even in the states, I'm in the state of Texas. There's a number of places I cannot be in because of my state. So learning some of that in terms of how to send crypto from one place to another, learning it. But you have that background, and then it was very quick for you. Within a day, you learned about WaveBot, and you start not only paper trade it, but that you start putting money in, and you got that going on. Now, from that, you start spending some time on learning how to use the other tools like the Portfolio Pass, the alerts, and the targets, and you're tracking in details and giving yourself feedback throughout. So you are just feedbacking to yourself in terms of, hey, good, bad, or ugly. And that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, and then you adjust some of those levels. Are the good news, bad news? And that's something that you will analyze along the way. And so you create a system for yourself that besides your full-time job, that you got these times that you go boom, boom, boom. Okay, next, boom, 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 next. So with all of that, where do you think you're going to be going with this in the next 3 to 6 months?
Oh boy, that's a really good question. I've enjoyed a lot of success. Thank you to TCC for all of this. I had my doubts, initially, but oh my gosh, they are the real deal, right? And they did amazing. There's some amazing education there. There's some great resources at my fingertips for through the forum. The tools are bang on. I'm extremely excited about the new TCC targets tool that Joel and team made available. and using that to make some decisions on other things that I have. I mean, don't want to swear here, but I did also invest in a couple of shit coins like Bonk, but I used didn't use the TCC targets, but I used the TCC indicators, to see where it was going and just to pick my optimal entry time, and it really helped, from that perspective.
Great, and I don't want to hold up too much of your time. If you can give our members one last comment or suggestion, what would it be?
Don't be afraid. That's the big thing. If you're unfamiliar with the tools, go start paper trading, but put a time limit on it so that it's like, okay, once I get to 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, whatever time that you need, take it. But then when you're comfortable with the mechanics, start doing actual trades. Now, based on your own budget, obviously, and this is not financial advice. Everybody says that on the internet, so I'm going to say that as well. I don't want people to go, well, Mike said, and they lose their shirt. No, you have to be comfortable with it in order to start. But when you're trading in real life, that's really when you'll learn. Will you make mistakes? Absolutely. Will you be successful? Absolutely. As long as you learn from your mistakes, you'll move on. That will be my parting comments.
That's wonderful. I think there's that balancing act on both ends, right? There are some of us who are too reckless and jumping in the deep end without any practice, and then those of us who are just practicing, and won't get out of the kiddie pool, right? You got to dive in. You can watch YouTube every single day for a million times, but unless you dive in and start trading, you will know, number one, the mechanics of going through all of it, and number two, yourself. I think that's the number one thing we need to understand. What's our risk tolerance? What are we looking at? What's our shortcoming? Where are we tripping up? Those are things that nobody can tell us until we find out about ourselves. So thank you very much, Mike, for your time. And I want to, hopefully we'll come back again with some more news and share with our membership and allow this to encourage everybody to keep profiting. So take care.
Well, thank you, Roger. I really appreciate your time.